Welcome to the Classic Faserip podcast. I am one of your hosts, DM Vince, sitting to my right over here. Nope, that side. Nope, that side is the Jeff,
Hello, everybody.
and below me is the Steven.
Go on.
Uh, nice to meet everybody again. Hello.
Yes, I don't know. Oh, I guess below. Oh, okay, I get it, Jeff. Funny, funny, funny. Issue number 31. Here we are in our new season. Uh, we're back, and everything's looking good. We're doing a show today. We're going to go over some things that have been happening in the community, the yada yada stuff before we get into the meat of the show. So let me just share my screen. We did get a review on iTunes since we started from
Oh, goodness. Good.
VJ Frank, and he says, "Great show. Glad to see the show's back. It's a lot of fun to listen to, and the new host seems to work well. Looking forward to more." He did
Oh,
that on
that's nice.
January 18th. So I appreciate that, Mr. VJ Frank or Miss VJ Frank or whomever you are. We appreciate the 5 stars. And we hope other people out there will give us 5 stars as well and do a written review so we can read it on the air. All right. Next thing we got coming up here is we have a question from Fifth Ward Cowboy on Discord. He said, "I have a favorite question for the podcast. How can the group develop an entertaining Fantastic Four type campaign? For example, how can a judge and his or her players collaborate on making high tech devices, patenting them, and earning resource advancements? In addition, how can the group create interesting cosmic level villains, entertaining NPCs, and connecting PC origin stories?" Oh, by the way, Jane Koala Kelly says, "Hi, Vince and Steve." Apparently, too bad. Screw you, Jeff.
We
No,
did it first time.
I don't think that was on purpose.
Nah.
So as far as the first part of the question, a Fantastic Four type campaign, I wasn't much of a reader of Fantastic Four. Steven, what about you? Were you more of a
I
type of
was
four?
really into the Ultimate Fantastic Four for a good
Yeah.
minute, and I liked the because I didn't get into the original Fantastic Four growing up. I don't know, they just never really appealed to me that much. But when they were doing the whole Ultimate series some years back, it was like my chance to get introduced to them, and I
Hmm.
liked it. It was the whole sci-fi but kind of modern thing.
Hmm.
Ben was the muscle dude. Johnny was still kind of the goofball, but it's kind of weird what they did with the characters later. After Ultimatum, it the Fantastic Four just kind of broke apart, and it wasn't. I didn't like it as much. They turned Reed Richards into the villain. Ben Grimm actually, I think, hooked up with Susan Storm, and Johnny somehow got de-aged. He went from being the same age as the others to suddenly being like a 13-year-old Peter Parker best friend who was living with Aunt May. It got a little weird after Ultimatum. But
Hmm.
that aside, that was a little tangent. That was my one with the Fantastic Four, and I liked it. I liked the sci-fi aspect and being able to use powers and brains to really outdo the villains. If you want
Yeah.
to beat a villain, it's creativity is how the Fantastic Four usually do it.
Teamwork, family, and creativity.
Well, they weren't
Absolutely.
really family oriented in the Ultimatum. They were still
No,
young.
you're right.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, the Fantastic Four has always been a family friendly, working together as one type thing going on for a campaign. So I guess you would have to maybe make all of them somehow related or care about one another so they don't want to kill one another, especially if they're villains, and make sure that's how they get along. As far as players collaborating on making high tech devices, a lot of that stuff that I've done in our campaigns was always kind of like, yeah, you roll and you make a device and patenting. I mean, that's something I don't know patenting them. I mean, isn't that something you would do off camera, honestly, guys?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I have a lot of players that put a lot of their higher scores into the reasoning, and some of them want to be the tinkerers and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
they invent things all the time, and that's fun. But none of them have actually thought about monetizing it. Maybe it's because of the setting I have them in that they just haven't had the time to do it. Because if they create something, it's kind of to resolve the situation at hand. They haven't created like the ultimate toaster that can just you put it in and food's instant. Let's sell this for billions. Because is it the same campaign anymore if they're all super rich and stuff like that? I mean,
It'd be
maybe.
different. I mean, because then, when it comes to money, you got there's different opportunities like espionage. There's
Well, don't you
corporate
roll
espionage.
resources also at the beginning? And some characters start out flat out rich. I have one guy who's a 15-year-old by his character, but he's richer than Tony Stark. That was his role. I mean, he
Yeah,
rolled
I mean,
resources.
whatever his role is what
I
his
say
role
he
is.
inherited it from his money or family. I mean, like Bruce Wayne-esque kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, patenting things and designing things was always an off game thing because you don't really want to spend time in the game, walking down to the patent office and
I have a player who's keeps trying to invest in the stock market, and I'm like, dude, real life here, I know this much about the stock market, so if you want to just say you get rich off something, let's just roll and see if you get lucky.
Right.
funny thing is there was something in an old Dragon magazine about Marvel and investing in the stock market for players that wanted to do that. There was a whole bunch of rules to roll on charts if I remember. I have to
Well,
find that again.
yeah, I was gonna say if we can find that, maybe we can post it somewhere, and that'd be a good link for the person asking the question there. And
But so, breaking it down, all right, so we'll skip the patenting thing, making devices, but earning resource advancements. I guess you would just follow however it would be listed in the book as far as making more money and trying to advance your wealth. I mean,
not to break the universe here, but can always try going the booster gold route, sell market yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, what, he has sponsors out the wazoo as a hero, and you're
Yes.
not in like a grim dark setting. Have fun with that. Like, oh yeah, we saved the day. By the
But
way,
didn't Booster Gold take stuff from the future and bring it back
Yes.
and sell
that
it?
was his original spiel.
Oh.
Was he knew like when crimes were going to happen supposedly, and he showed up with his super suit and stuff to try and resolve it then and there, to get rich in the past, so he's super rich in the future. And then he turned out to actually be a legit good guy hero.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so creating interesting cosmic level villains. Honestly, I've never made cosmic level villains because that at a cosmic level, the game is just off the charts for as far as playing it.
You're really dealing with like planet destroyers at that point. I mean, if your players want to be on that power trip where they're able to go from planet to planet like it's nothing, like us going to the supermarket, you can come up with some shift X level characters and threats. But really, how Galactus level cosmic entities or the Phoenix and stuff like that, that's usually end game bosses. Like end of the campaign, those are the big guys.
I played in a campaign way back when I was in high school, and I was Dark Phoenix, and everyone else was all these like Silver Surfer and things like that. And the GM was just throwing things at us, and he's like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I shoot a dark blast." He's like, "Okay, you shoot a dark blast. It does this, that, and that. What else do you do?" It's just like I don't know. It's too cosmically level high campaign for me to wrap my head around. So
let me look at my metaphysical abilities here. Am I like, let me get into the mind of ego and
yeah. Entertaining NPCs, that's not that difficult to do. You basically have to make up an NPC, give them some type of personality. If it's just a throwaway NPC, like you go to the police station, it's a detective, sometimes it's fun to be like, the NPC has a quirk, or maybe he finds something about the character he doesn't like. When Jeff did in our fantasy campaign, started interviewing that one random NPC person that survived, he kind of slipped up on a couple things. So I picked up on that, and I made the NPC start getting really annoyed at him. So, yeah, go Steven.
I was gonna say, I've actually found creating an interesting NPC almost sometimes happens on the fly. I had a battle, some of my characters, and this random mook got a kill shot, perfect 100, shot through this guy's armor, bullet bounced around his helmet, and he was, just KO'd kind of. He rolled this, what you do for the endurance saves and all that. But still, they were surprised because he's a high level, high tech hero, and this nobody guy just took him out. And I had to name him then and there because they're like, they all wanted to kill this one little dude. He was just a random mook, and now the whole party's super after him. And I had to give him a name. And then the next battle, the same thing happened. And I'm like, they're brothers. And then another battle, this one mook was just like also really good. It was like, that's the third brother. And it kind of became like the Gears of War, with the brothers that died in every game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, now I have a whole clan of NPC bad guys that are all after the good guys and stuff like that, and vice versa. And it just happened. But you had to kind of create a whole family then and there on the fly.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it just happens. Entertaining NPCs you can plan out, and they'll never go to them. So basically, you got to take it by case basis.
Sometimes it's on accident, sometimes it's on purpose.
But
Like for example, in Corey's game, his Shadowrun game, Firebird, that's an entertaining NPC that we all hate and love at the same time because he's kind of funny, but he's fucking annoying at the same time. So, and he has that accent, like I'm gonna do, he has that Southern KFC, Colonel Sanders, and little puns here and there, and he made the guy entertaining,
Quirky.
So quirky, yeah, quirky, so to speak. Did you say quirky or quirky there, Jeff?
Quirky. Let's just say quirky.
Okay, I thought he said corky.
Corgi, the dog.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, sometimes you plan it and it doesn't work, and then all of a sudden the NPC that's standing there picking his nose across the bar from your players just becomes the focus, and there's something you have to make up on the fly.
Isn't that a D&D meme? The guys that you spend hours trying to make that you think is going to be really entertaining, the players just ignore.
Oh, yeah.
Yet the person that the random barmaid is suddenly the focus of the whole story. We have to adopt this person, et cetera, et cetera.
Always happens.
The old man at the bar that tries to give your characters a quiz. They're like, no, I don't want to talk to him. I want to talk to that goblin cleaning the using a mop cleaning the corner there.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, there's not like a definitive answer on how to create a really great NPC other than it might just happen by luck, or maybe if you plan it out, it might work well, but it's really up to the group who they get attached to. And then the ones they get attached to, they're the ones you kind of want to flesh out more.
I think it has to do with the more quirky details of a NPC that you give, the more interest your players usually have. Firebird, he always wore something bright and flamboyant too, didn't he? Plus the the accent and
Forgive me, I was just going to say all I really remember from Firebird is that I think he wanted to sleep with my character a lot. He was constantly hitting on him. It was weird.
I'm almost sure that he wanted to sleep with every character.
He was a equal opportunity sex person. So
yes.
Hey, it happens in games, so whatever. You just roll with it. And finally, connecting PC origin stories. That's not that difficult to do. You basically have to sit down during character creation to figure this part out. And sometimes it's easier when players will sit and make stories up to try to, like Steven, you and I in the new campaign, Big Eye, Small Mouth, I'm playing a priest and you're playing a partial vampire. And then you and I sat with text messages on Discord back and forth, how we're going to be teamed up for one another, because it's a really weird combination of why we would be working with one another.
A Catholic priest and a Dampier, basically, yeah.
Yeah, so we kind of figured out a way for the two of us to be associated with one another so it would make sense story-wise. And that's what you have to do with the GM. Sit down and plan things out. That's how you connect stories.
And then there's sometimes characters that just come up with backstories that you have to put a hard no on. I had one guy who he rolled earth powers, and he literally wanted to say that his tragic backstory was he destroyed his hometown. I'm like, you have an excellent. I don't think you're destroying a whole city.
No, yeah, definitely not.
But I'm still able to work with him to get kind of an origin going. It's like he wrecked his house, and his parents are like, okay, this is a mutant. Let's Xavier, come get this guy.
Wrecking house is more. Maybe wrecking a few blocks might be sensible. But
what was his power rank?
It was excellent.
Yeah, that's not gonna.
That's 20%. So yeah, sinkhole, making a ground quake, destroying the foundation, definitely.
Not leveling the city. No.
Not leveling the city.
No, not even if he spent a lot of karma. No.
Maybe a Lego city.
Yeah, Lego City. Wow.
His dad was working on his Lego City, and he destroyed. He's like, mutant.
That's what I would do. Those
Wow.
Lego cities take time.
And finally, yes, hello back to you, Jane. We appreciate the hello, and we appreciate Fifth Ward Cowboy sending in a question for us to answer. So moving along, if you want to ask a question, you can send it to questions at the evil DM here .com yes, questions at the evildm.com. Yeah, that's our email address. I don't know, whatever. Sounds work. I think I actually have a thing here on to do it. Let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. Ba-bam. Questions, comments, email us at questions at the evildm.com. We got fancy stuff going on this week. Anyway, so finally we did get, there was an update from the Marvel Canon Project, or the Uncanon Project. Good morning, Marvel fans. Just want to let you know that January Marvel File issue is going to be a little late, likely released next month. So this was actually given to me right prior to the beginning of February, since we had a little bit of trouble getting recording going.
Well, holidays had ended, and people just getting started up again.
It's Jeff. That it is. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's just me.
However, to compensate, we will let you know some of what we have been coming up for the Marvel File issues this year. Road Trip, detailing various locations for your Marvel campaign world. International Villains, likely consisting of a couple issues. This will detail various villains from outside the U.S. That sounds like it might be interesting. Marvel TV File, 90s edition, giving you stats for all the various Marvel TV projects from the 90s. Think it'll include Saved by the Bell, like Zach Morris and Tiffany and everything. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's a mutant.
Yeah, he has to be a mutant, right? Yeah.
Mutant!
I originally thought that was all in his head until he actually started to manipulate people. Like, he moved it so Slater would actually punch Belding. I'm like, he actually has powers in that show.
Right? So my philosophy, or my thing going on here, but is Saved by the Bell going to be in there maybe he's a mutant. We don't know that. Or was it all inside Miss Bliss's head the whole time?
I don't know. I didn't watch the show.
You didn't watch Saved by the Bell?
No.
I watched it all the way up to the college years. I mean, that was kind of a staple of 90s youth.
Did you watched the beginning with Good Morning Miss Bliss, right? You got the reference.
Yeah, I got the reference,
Oh, okay.
but
Is it all Miss Bliss's head the entire time? She dreamt the entire thing. Anyway, and then we got Martial Arts Volume 2, more Marvel martial artists. That might be interesting. Stone Age Avengers. Yep, those Avengers from way long ago. And then campaigns. Various articles on running Marvel campaigns and aids for judges. That's what they got all coming up this month in the February and probably into March. We should be seeing some of these things come out. I believe some of them have come out. I haven't really checked in the Faserip Discord lately, but they probably will have something coming up very shortly. So, all right. Well, now to get into the focus of the show this week. We did get a question, but I'm not going to reveal the source because they asked to be kept quiet. So, shh. They asked if we can cover a certain type of monster from long ago, from Dragon Magazine 112. They wanted us to talk a little bit about dire wraiths. And yeah, so if you flip back to August 1986, the Dragon Magazine on page 84, we get dire wraiths. They actually did a write-up of the dire wraiths here in the Marvel, because if you go to Uncanny X-Men, issue was at 187, I believe, was one of the first appearances, so to speak, of the dire wraiths. So let's quickly
first, but yeah,
one of the most famous ones, at least. Memorable ones. Is that better? Memorable.
There you go.
Memorable. Okay. So for dire wraiths, they have a fighting good 10. They have agility of poor 4, strength remarkable 30, endurance remarkable 30, reason remarkable 30, intuition of typical 6, and a psyche of good 10. Their resources are amazing, so I don't know where they keep their money or get their money from with amazing resources, but hey, why not? So they have the ability.
Their science.
Yes, they patented their sciences. They have the ability to shapeshift, which we were talking about, Jeff and I, previously to the show, because in the comic book 187 of X-Men, we get they show that they actually do shapeshift into one of the security guards and propose it to get inside. What's the guy's? I can't think of the X-Men's name. Forge.
Forge.
Forge's secret base. They pose as one of the security guards after killing him and run into the secret base so they can fool it. And from reading the comic, it seems like they do retain some of the memories of the host that they transform into or shapeshift into, so they can try to trick people. Because later on in the comic itself, it does show them transforming into Forge as well to try to trick him or one of the X-Men. I can't remember which one it was.
Storm.
And was it Storm? Okay, Storm. To try to trick one of the X-Men into believing it was them. But I don't want to show any more pages or anything from that. So
Spoiler alert. Jeez.
yeah, really.
From 1980s, 1968.
Yeah. So yeah. But anyway, back to the Dire Wraiths themselves, and they are able to shift, and it gives you the ability what they shift into. They do have a special attack, the most it's this barbed wire tongue, which also secretes powerful acid, which can penetrate unprotected human skulls, which is kind of nasty if you read the comic and saw some of the things they can do. A picture. They can also transform into what were we talking about, Jeff? What was that? The
Deathwing.
Deathwing. Thank you.
Deathwing, yeah,
And they have a picture of the Deathwing from one of the comics is one of the Deathwings. That's how big they can get, and they can transform into Hellhounds. And there's so many different things that they can do, but they don't list them all here in the comic, the write up here itself.
Actually, they do.
They do? Where?
Yeah. Keep going down. Heroes will knock your block off. There's the Hellhound right there.
Oh, I didn't even see that page. Okay, so they do have the Hellhounds there as well, and the hybrids. So they do have all the things you want in your game. So basically, the person who wrote in was saying, how would you handle these in the campaign? I'm gonna say Dire Wraiths are gonna be quite powerful for a campaign. I mean,
I'm gonna say
that would be the whole campaign. I would say.
Yeah.
If this is not a street level camp, these are not street level enemies. Even though their stats kind of fit it, these are not street level. So I would say first of all, it has to be at least global.
Yeah.
Maybe countrywide campaign.
Yeah.
Like Avengers style.
Well, the heroes would have to have some means of figuring out who's a Dire Wraith and who's not. And are we going to introduce the hero that actively opposes them to help the heroes out? The wrong guy?
That's true. Yeah, the Rocketeers, pretty much.
The Space Knights.
The Space Knights, yeah.
And if you look at their stats, they kind of outshine most heroes that I see with those.
Yeah,
With a
Knight.
75 for monstrous in their reason, or for one for endurance, one for reason, and 40s. These are semi cosmic.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking now with the Dire Wraiths, you can actually turn it into like one big bad Dire Wraith that comes in, maybe adjust the stats for making him a big bad. And remember the movie with I can't think of his name, but it was Deja Vu, the movie. No, was that the one? Is that the one with I can't think of his name. Someone else talk so I could think.
I was just thinking that if you were going to do a campaign with shapeshifters and stuff, it would definitely be an intrigue, spy-esque game. You would go heavy-handed.
Yes.
Because you can't just go around randomly punching everybody. So if you're playing a Marvel game like my players that love combat every session, a Dire Wraiths-esque campaign, you may not get that luxury because if you're playing them right, they shouldn't just be revealing themselves, all willy-nilly. Like, is the senator the Wraith, or was it his assistant who's kind of corrupting him and forging his documents and stuff like that, but playing, hiding in the shadows easy there. So I think a Dire Wraith campaign would definitely be more of intrigue, spies, trying to figure out a way to maybe find out, like have a scanner, things like that. How deep does the conspiracy go? Does it go all the way up to the White House, or are your allies actually Dire Wraiths? You don't know.
Like a Manchurian candidate type thing going on.
Exactly. And personally, I'm not big on spy, or you've seen me in some of these games where we have to interrogate an entire village to find out who's the bad guy. I'm just like, can I just punch somebody now?
You want to take the Ashley J. Williams method of just punch it and see if it's bad?
Yeah, it worked.
Well, yeah, that for the first part, if your campaign revolves around Dire Wraiths, Yeah, that's the first part because they're the main thing they do is infiltrate. But
Mhm.
after they infiltrate, after they've been caught out, that's when the fun starts.
But
I'm
Well,
talking about.
once they're caught, then they're just basically opening up the portal and letting the rest of them in. So
Oh yeah,
and I guess that's when the Space Knights can show up and back up your heroes if need be. The Deus Ex Machina,
yeah. Unless your characters are smart enough or have are
strong
powerful
enough.
enough or have the resources to have the resources to have the abilities to take them out. Um, I think they also have weaknesses, don't they?
I think if I remember correctly, in the comic it was cold, but I don't think they actually go on to say if there's a weakness inside the actual write up here. I'm looking through it.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Heat resistance.
Ooh, hybrids. They also get magic too. That's not even
Yep.
fun.
So
Yeah.
spies and magic.
Yep, spies and magic.
Well, they do say heat resistance. The Wraiths originated from a planet with great volcanic activity, so they took half damage from fire. So, oh, here at the same time they take double damage from cold-based attacks. Okay, that makes sense because in the comic, they're like, yes, the cold, snow and ice outside will slow them down for quite a little time, and then I'm just like, oh, okay, so they have a weakness. So maybe shooting cold bursts at them, or snow or ice, and have Iceman come up and go and throw an ice ball at them.
Stop it.
And he can tell them to stop it. Yeah, pretty much, just like that.
But also,
He's an Omega level mutant. He could just freeze them into ice blocks and just
he
walk
could
away like nothing.
also shotguns because that one guy just kept on killing them with shotguns. Forge's friend
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever it was.
yeah. It's right in the comic. He was just blowing them up with
Just
shotguns the whole time.
Yeah,
bam,
if you look at the
bam.
Dire Wraiths stats by themselves, they don't look super powerful. They look like something anybody could actually take on in a fight. I think it's when they transform that you're kind of in trouble.
When they get to the hybrid levels, that's when you have to deal with the
The Deathwing
really
hybrid, or if
no
there's a group of
the
hellhounds
hybrid
after you.
the hybrid.
Yeah, well, the hybrid here basically has some unearthly for its
Holy
psyche, monstrous
Nikes.
endurance. The rest of them are good and excellent, but I mean, they got flight, they got mental attack, mental powers, body armor. They have shape shifting themselves, and then we have magic itself. So,
With a psyche of 100
yeah,
and endurance of 75, that's going to be your boss.
yeah, pretty much because with that they can pretty much cast whatever they want, and they have the endurance to withstand all the strain from casting a lot of magic. So,
Yeah.
the hybrid is probably the one you're going to want to fear.
That's going to be your
Most.
named bad guy.
Yes, hybrid.
That's the
Rawr.
president.
Or his secretary. Which one is it?
Oh, that's it. Okay, I thought there was a little bit more.
Was it fistful of what?
Um, fistful of credits. It's for
Or
Star Frontiers.
Frontiers.
Star Frontiers.
The Star Frontiers was a pretty cool sci-fi game for TSR back in the day. But
It still
anyway,
is, isn't it?
No comment. Anyway, so Hellhounds. Hellhounds are pretty interesting themselves because they have the phasing ability, which I always found interesting that when we played our Marvel campaign, we had a player that had phasing ability, but I don't think he kind of used it all that well. You remember that, Steven? James?
He didn't get a chance. Remember when he was with us, we were still learning to be villains. I think the best he did was walk into a bank and steal some money and walk out of it.
Yes.
I mean, I actually have a player in my campaign currently that has phasing, and he's going full anime with what his creativity is. Like, he's trying to do the vision thing where he partially phases back in when his fist is in somebody's stomach, do that stunt thing.
Yeah.
He's trying to get a feat where he can phase if somebody's punching at him with a reaction, and then he can phase back. It's like, if you want to gamble that karma, that's just a home brew rule, but
Well, yeah. Obviously, you do whatever makes it fun for your game. You never have to actually. The book is a guideline, I always say, so you don't need to actually follow the book to the letter. I mean, some people out there enjoy doing, what we call raw rules as written, and like to play that way. But myself and Steven, you obviously, and Jeff all like to kind of bend the rules, make it fun, try to throw things around and make it more interesting.
If the players are having fun by the end of the game, you kind of feel like you did it right.
Yeah.
That's the point. But yeah, Hellhounds, they're your infiltrators. There's the ones that, oh, not the infiltrators. There's the sneak attack ones. There's
With
the
the
ones
phasing
that
ability,
while your characters are separated, they're going to be the ones that jump on your heroes or villains. I mean, these guys are just chaotic to everybody.
I wonder if that would mess with tech suit people like Iron Man's. Say
Yes.
a bunch of these hounds actually leapt on Iron Man and were
Yeah.
in their phasing, would that fry his suit basically?
No.
Machinery without an endurance score is scrambled automatically.
Yeah.
Oh,
True.
so
But
would he need?
they have to be his armor though, because their phasing is remarkable. I think
Mechanical
his armor is
beings
like
take
monstrous.
incredible damage while battle suits and other machinery is made inoperative for 10 turns.
But they
So it
still have to
would
go
mess
through
them
the
up.
armor.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
I'm just reading what it would do. Now, Iron Man's armor obviously has an endurance score, so the Hellhounds attack with their phasing ability using fighting feat roll to determine their success. The success roll indicates that the Hellhound has phased through the person, causing remarkable damage. Also, the victim must make a yellow endurance feat or fail unconscious for 1d10 turns. So,
But that brings up a good point though. If phasing can disrupt electronics, imagine what it could do to a brain with all those impulses and nerves, going off at the same time.
well, yeah, it would interrupt it, especially if you phase through it. Kill somebody
Mm-hmm.
instantly, probably, especially if they're a normal person, instant death there.
Or definitely coma.
Yeah. Probably an instant death for a regular superhero. You get your saves and damage and stuff like that. So,
Poor Aunt May's not making it if the Hellhounds get her.
no, Aunt May would die and fall to a sudden death. Again. And again.
Jeez, everyone not liking Aunt May today.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never used the Space Knights, and I wasn't a big fan of Rom. I don't know about you guys.
Nah, I mean, quirky, robot.
Quirky.
Yeah, just it's just a little throwback there. I mean, he was made back in what the 30s, the 40s.
Maybe.
He's old.
Was my introduction to the Space Knights. Honestly, I grew up with the X-Men as my go-to for comic books and Daredevil, the Punisher, and my dad actually had a huge collection of Thor, but it was what was his name? It wasn't Thor, it was this other guy who took over for him, Eric Masterson or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Thunderstrike.
Thunderstrike. Yeah.
Yeah, he had like the entire Thunderstrike series all the way up to when
Wow.
Yeah,
When
it was
evil?
impressive. Well, that was later.
No, he
but
died, didn't he?
He died,
Yeah.
but he had his whole origin all the way up to where he was no longer Thor and Odin gave him his own unique kind of hammer,
Mm-hmm.
which looked more like a mace.
He did. And
But
he got the blood axe too, I think, at one time.
yeah, but those were the comics I kind of grew up reading until I got a little older and was able to actually buy my own and not just mooch off my dad's comic collection.
Yeah, I always had trouble reading Thor comics because of the way it was written, and I always found it kind of dull. But maybe that was just me. I didn't
don't know,
like the way
I thought they
Thor
were.
spoke.
I found it more fantastic than superhero-ish, especially when he went back to Asgard and traveled the Nine Realms.
Yeah, that was very colorful. All the characters were in like their bright yellows, reds, like the whole stag and all them. They were clearly color coordinated. I liked Thor growing up. It was fun. Plus, even he went against challenges that just kicked his butt on occasion. It was kind of weird seeing this is the guy that could, solo the Avengers if he really wanted to, get his butt kicked on the
I don't know,
regular, it seems, in his comic.
If he used his full might, I think he would have a very good chance against the Avengers.
I swear it's by author. No
Well,
matter
I mean-
what it is, like one Avenger, if they get their moment to shine, they could all take down an Avenger. It's like suddenly everybody's a Batman.
Except for Hawkeye. Hawkeye could never pull it off.
That's
Wow.
true.
No,
Hawkeye's
but
boring.
that's the one quirky thing about Thor is that he never took a fight seriously because he was just better than everyone. So whenever he no quirky, not quirky.
No quirks.
No, but he would never take a fight seriously. And then when he started actually taking a fight seriously, you actually got to see a change in his disposition.
No, I
Even
just.
when even when he was down on the ground bleeding, he would always try to laugh it off.
Are you sure you're not talking about Hercules?
Yeah, that sounds more like Hercules.
Hercules would always joke and be drunk. I actually read the comics where he tried to go sober too. Oh, that didn't
Yeah.
last long. But no, Thor never really took a fight seriously because it's Thor, and two, yeah, exactly. And he kept on fighting, so he was just so used to it, he never took anything seriously.
Hmm. That was never really a big Thor fan when growing up, but I appreciated him more as the newer comics came around because I don't know, I just found him really boring in the 80s. So
So I mean,
He
yeah,
did get fleshed out a lot more in the more recent comics. And if you read his solo books, some of them are pretty good, especially like the What If ones where Loki actually took over Asgard.
oh yeah, hmm,
Some of them are legit, really worth reading. I don't know how we went from Dire Wraiths to Thor. I think somehow that was my fault.
cosmic level threats.
Cosmic.
it's cosmic level, so it really kind of fits in, but it also shows that we might be running to an end of the show here today. So like we said, we'd like to keep these pretty short and informative, and we think we've done that today. Hopefully, we've given this person who wrote in, who shall not be named, he knows who he is, some ideas about diaries. If you'd like to email us at questions@theevildm.com, you can send us in your topics for the show. You can also hit us up on the Faserip Discord, where we have our own little Faserip podcast channel where you can leave comments and questions as well. And, ping Steven or Jeff because they're both on there, or me, and say, I hate you guys and things like that.
I will
Mean
take your
things.
abuse.
Steven takes a lot of abuse and he loves it. And,
But actually,
but
no, I would say one more thing before we finish up with
no,
Naya
no, 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 no. Go ahead, Jeff.
I would say after the infiltration part, after the start, the one thing that we didn't really focus on is what happens when they get caught out. What happens when the team finally gets together and catches the boss, out in the open in his true form? What happens after that?
Did they catch him in his true form, or is he still
They
in his
did.
human form?
It was Storm that caught him out,
Mm.
and after that, that's when the fun started.
Yeah, they just
Waves
start beating the
upon
crap out of
waves.
them. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll say
waves
this: one
upon.
reason I don't like spy and shape shifting things is that it's a situation where what if the bad guy just sticks to the story and never breaks character, and the good guys don't really have proof? They just have a strong suspicion, or they may know that he's the bad guy, but he's like, I'm just an innocent here. I'm calling the cops on you vigilantes. And now the
That's when.
heroes are like, well, do we take him out or do we get arrested?
Well, that's when you call for outside help, right? So, your group, superpower heroes, villains, whatever, you know, they cannot figure out who the infiltrator is, and the infiltrator is like, "I'm calling the cops," or the mayor's like, "I'm calling the cops." And then it's 1950s, and what do you do then? You call for help. I mean,
Yeah, yes, you
you
contact the DC superheroes, Superman and Batman, the Justice
Oh,
League,
the
and they come.
DC cross universe.
Yeah. Why
call
not?
call Doctor Fate. No, I mean, there's people. There's as a GM, if your players cannot figure it out, they're going to lose karma because that's going to be a mission fail. If you want your team to succeed, hey, Rom comes out of nowhere. You know, uh, Doctor Strange comes out of nowhere. That throws out some magic, and all of a sudden, the infiltrator comes out in full form, and now the attack happens. Now the streets are flooded with dire wraiths, deathwings, and hellhounds.
You just got to read your own players. Are they getting it? Are they picking up on the clues? Did they get the evidence they needed? Or are they going to
Exactly.
go the Evil Dead Ash route and just punch the mofo and see what happens?
Well, I mean,
Yes.
and if there's a chance to do wrong, well, your group, your whoever punches that, innocent is going to lose karma because you cannot hurt innocence.
Eh,
Speaking of
And
which, Doctor Strange.
Mhm.
Anybody see the trailer and looking forward to the new movie coming out?
Yes.
yeah, actually. Literally just finally saw Spider-Man 3 the other day with my wife, so a little late on the ball, and we actually had the theater almost to ourselves.
Oh wow, that must have been nice.
Oh, yeah. So we
I
got
don't
to
know if Vince.
experience,
I don't know if Vince saw it yet, but did you see the after credits?
yeah, both. I don't
Yeah, I
like that
saw
they
that when
actually
it
put a
first came out.
trailer as an after credit thing. It's like, I
Well,
already watched this.
Yeah, I
it
agree.
was a little bit. It wasn't really a trailer, but it kind of was at the same
It
time. But
was.
yeah,
It was literally the same exact trailer.
was it the exact?
Yeah,
I thought
it
it was
was
different.
exactly what I saw on YouTube a few weeks ago.
But speaking of the end credits of Spider-Man, did you see Venom 2 yet?
No.
No,
Oh,
I haven't seen Venom 2 yet. I saw the first one. I never bothered to see the second one.
I'm right there with Vince. And I love Carnage as a villain, and I like Venom, but without Spider-Man, it just feels weird.
Yeah,
it is. I would have to say I'm not going to give you spoilers out, but the way they CGI'd Carnage, they
yeah.
did a hell of a job.
Well,
Oh,
They
and
did a
the
all right.
really good job.
and the other thing that really kind of tilted me away from it is, how do you PG or PG-13 Carnage?
You don't want to know. I
It's
say,
all off screen, or you can't really show the blood splatters. I mean, Carnage in the comics, Maximum Carnage, that whole series,
Mhm.
I loved. He was vicious. You were seeing the spikes going through the security guards and stuff, and he was
Yeah.
axing people in half.
the only
Where
person
was
that you
that?
see Venom truly attack is, I mean, the only person that you see Carnage truly attack is Venom.
That's why I was like, if they're, it's like Aliens versus Predator when they made that PG-13. I'm like, no.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
That's kind of
Uh,
what veered me away from Carnage. Was I don't want to see a PG version of Carnage. I want to see a R-rated version of Carnage being what he is. He is
all
a
right,
monster.
I have a scale when it comes to movies. It has three parts: worth going to see full price, worth renting, or watch it for free. Either when it comes out on Netflix or whatever, or Disney Plus.
Stream it.
Would really rate uh, just movie scale. Nice. Uh, I I would say rent it on the low end or watch it for free.
Yeah.
It's and I was talking to somebody about it, and they said Carnage or Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, is a setup for another movie.
What, Mobius?
That looks good too, by the way.
I I probably see it. I can't wait for the new Blade to come out though.
Again, a PG-13 version of Blade. No, thank you. I want my R-rated Wesley Snipes Blade.
Well, no, it's pay to full price in theater, rent, or watch for free.
Okay. Anyway, we're getting off topic here and into other things. So why don't we head out for the night? Hopefully everybody had a nice time listening to us, watching us. Again, you can go to classicfaserip.com for our website to hear the audio podcast of this and chat along, not chat along, listen along with us. You could chat along too if you come to youtube.com/evilDM and just look for the podcast itself and
We look
enjoy
for
that.
questions in the comments too.
Yeah, look for questions in the comment. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if it's your first time, and leave your comments below, questions below, and we'll have Jeff scour the comments like we did in the past. So, with that said, I am Vince. Sitting to my left is Jeff,
Y'all take care.
and the Steven below me.
Have a good one, everyone.
Good night.